kid from Star Wars Rebels.
You do realize you have to relegate everything you're doing to... See, here's the thing. You would say you would think you'd have to relegate everything to just what's there and not extra shit. But even they don't really adhere to that, because the whole two-kid thing was extended universe shit. Because I'm still not letting go. You know what's weird? In the film, they always did that whole thing where it's like, who is she? And they would cut away. You will never find out who she is.
Yeah.
But Han Solo offering her a job, and I went back in to look at the subtle nuances and how Leia reacted around her, how Han reacted around her, just to see if there might be something there. So, but again, I think if you go that route, you run the risk of a lot of people not caring. Only because you'd have to do so much explaining and so much backtracking. It's kind of like the beginning of Pacific Rim. They had to take like the first 5 minutes of the film to go through all that exposition before they could even start the real conflict of the film. I feel like since we ended The Force Awakens with her handing a lightsaber to Luke, which was kind of like on a cliffhanger sort of thing, that this film, we need to get right into what the conflict is going to be for the next 2 hours of this trilogy. So to kind of halt that, to explain who she is when you could easily just say she's a Skywalker, makes absolutely no sense to me. She has to be a Skywalker. Sure, it won't be a big reveal, but right now, you've already set the bar in a way that it's kind of like you're not going for originality, you're going for safety, you're going for not pissing nerds off by giving them what they want. Okay, so I'm going to the movie, right? Why should I be invested in your theory? I'm not saying your theory isn't good, I'm just saying, say I'm the casual viewer of these films. Haven't read any ancillary stuff. I'm just a moviegoer that likes the Star Wars movies, and I like some of the video games, and that's the extent of my admiration for Star Wars. How would you make that idea work for me?
I don't know.
Just make her let's make her a Skywalker. Here's what they should do, right? Now, do you think they've already figured out what they're going to do over 3 films? And they're doing the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings thing? Or are they
think so.
Or are they waiting? Because when you think about it, right? This film was constructed as a boardroom experiment to see what people liked, to see what people didn't like, to throw things up against the wall to see if they stuck or to see if they didn't stick. Right? Mm-hmm. So, would you be surprised if after this film released, they looked at everything people liked about it and then looked at everything people didn't like about it, and they're writing the second film in this trilogy around the audience reactions? So maybe what they could do is, if they see a lot of people calling this as her being a Skywalker, don't make that the big swerve. Alright, so far, right? I'm not saying you do this, but so far, Snoke, right, is a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
So we could easily think of it like this. Wizard of Oz. Maybe that's not really who it is. Maybe the reason Luke went into hiding for so long was because something went wrong with him, and he needed to be away from people. Now, there's 2 avenues of thought there. Maybe he's doing what Yoda and Ben did, because that's what they did when things got hairy. They felt they needed to go into exile because they were being hunted. Or he went into exile because something happened, and he can't be around people because he's dangerous.
There's been a theory about that his powers have magnified.
And that way, right, you could reveal her as a Skywalker, and you can kind of play around the idea of trying to rehabilitate Kylo Ren so that it ends up being Skywalker siblings trying to save their uncle who's been perverted by the dark side or whatever. He's looking for the first Jedi temple. What's he going there for? Maybe he feels that if he goes there, there's an answer to purging this thing that's inside of him. Like I said, the theories are going to be going all over the place until 2018 hits and the movie comes out, then, or the first trailer, and then people could kind of like, you know, have ideas. A lot of people piece this film together by the trailers, thinking, okay, this, and this might happen. By looking at the trailers, looking at the movie posters, a lot of people call the third Death Star because the movie poster kind of, what's that? Oh, you know, it kind of looks like a Death Star. So, I feel like since everyone's calling the Kira Ray thing, no one suspects Luke of being bad. Because a lot of people thought Kylo Ren was Luke.
Yeah.
And it turned out not to be Luke. So, right now, no one suspects Luke to be the bad guy. So how about this, right? We start off Episode 7, and he takes Rey under his wing, he starts training her. Let's say she wasn't a Jedi weapon. Let's just say she has a bunch of weird memories and shit going on, and she's just Force sensitive. Right? And maybe her memories are visions of the future, visions of the past, possible outcomes, all, you know, melded together. So he starts off training her, right, as his apprentice. And you're doing the whole Yoda thing, and then, like, about 40 minutes into the film, because, like I'm saying, you can make this one a little bit longer. I didn't feel the runtime was an issue, because I thoroughly, genuinely did enjoy watching the film, even with its flaws. Kind of like how we know Moe's isn't the greatest food in the world. It's not even great Tex-Mex, but we go there and eat every once in a while because we know what we're getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if there's a Jose's, like, just chilling around here, we'd probably go there more. But it is what it is. I enjoy... Yeah, that too. I enjoyed the film for what it was, but I saw the flaws, and I've said that a million times, and I'm going to keep saying it, because the more I see it, the more I can pick it apart. So, let's bump the runtime up on this one, make it like 2 hours, 40 minutes or something like that, because let's just say, a lot of shit has to go down in this second film to set up the big ending of the third film. Now, they've had 2 opportunities to do this already. Sith, I actually felt delivered on it a little bit more than Jedi did. But now you could really make the third act of this trilogy be something new, fresh, different. So the second film, just for the sake of having things work out the way that would be best for the longevity of the film, not just with fans, but, you know, you want to probably make a film that would... You want to make a film that, in the end, there's a discussion to be had where critics will pan genre films no matter what.
Yeah.
For the most part. Sometimes it's justified, sometimes it isn't. But you want to have a discussion where you could say what you want, but it was a good film. Like, people could say Creed might have been a box office... what's the word I'm looking for? It might have been a box office underperformer, but what you can't take away from it was that it was an excellent film. You know, you can't take away that the Lord of the Rings films are excellent films. You can't take away that E.T. is an excellent film, even though no one would ever think to themselves, well, a little alien, we should probably consider him for best actor. You know? So you just want to make a film that raises the question, well, should it be considered for this, and this? Obviously, this film can't be considered for any sort of, like, filmmaking award. But going into these next two films, we're actually going to have a little bit more competent filmmaker working, a little bit more of an auteur working on these projects. So make the second film 2 hours 42 minutes long. As long as it's necessary to the story, no one's going to mind the runtime. No one mind the runtime of Lord of the Rings. If the story's good, it's not going to bother us. The Dark Knight Rises was 2 hours and 42 minutes long, didn't feel like it. So, getting back to what I was saying, have Rey discover one day, she's having her training, and Luke asks her to do something that she's not comfortable with. And it's a little suspicious, and it turns out Luke is convening with someone because Luke is he's in the thrall of something greater, darker, etc., etc. Because, this new trilogy has completely... They want to say that they're not following extended universe stuff, but they've thrown things out there that were not staples of the 6 films that came prior. Like, lightsabers being able to call out to people now and hold the memories of the people who held it. That's some new shit. When have you seen that in any of the other films? It's new. Now, if you want to go expanded universe or extended universe, fan fiction, whatever the hell, there might be theories that go with that, but right now, it's kind of like they've built their own new mythology. So, lightsabers call out to people like fucking Excalibur. So...
I think the filmmakers were attempting to expand on the imprint the Darkseid made on the cave in Dagobah.
Still doesn't make sense. Because lightsabers aren't mythical. They're not mythical weapons, but then again, the first trilogy, the Force was something that was in everything. And bound everyone. And it's kind of like the energy that binds everything in the universe. Animates and binds. But then, it also said that Yoda was the one that trained Obi-Wan. But in Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon's the one training him. So, you have some things there that just don't add up. You're kind of...
Next movie, you have Yoda train the younglings. Which, I guess, was their way of putting that back in the best they could.
I'm sure he trained people. It's just that it was specifically said that Yoda...
I think by showing him training the younglings, they were trying to imply that he trained Obi-Wan when he was a youngling.
But up until then, just by going by the films, what we knew of the films was that you had a teacher and an apprentice. So, I'm not making a big deal out of it because everything has plot errors, nothing's perfect. I'm just saying it's, I'm just saying it is what it is. Again. I'm just saying one set piece that could actually work for this next film. They locate the original, the very first Jedi Temple, right? And the First Order destroys it. And you know what would have made a lot of sense? That would have probably been a more fitting place for Han Solo to have died. Was maybe they could have started off the second film with Rey taking up the job with him, traveling around with him. Every once in a while, she goes back to Jakku to see if anyone came, or if her family ever came back. And, in between little trips back home and then going Obi-Wan, they're doing their thing. Maybe Leia meets with Luke and tries to get Luke out of seclusion. She's like, we found you, but you're choosing to stay out of this conflict. Which a lot of people have criticized the film for, because it's like, You mean to tell me Luke Skywalker became a really powerful Jedi, was training younglings, training prospects,